She entered his life as war booty, barefoot and nameless. She left it as the only person who could make Peter the Great cry in public. This is how a Lithuanian laundress stole the heart of Europe's most terrifying emperor, and then stole his throne. August 1702. The fortress of Marienburg burns. Russian soldiers drag women and children into the night. Among them walks 17-year-old Marta Skowronska, a pastor's orphan turned laundry maid. Dark hair loose, eyes wide, she carries nothing but the clothes on her back. In a single day, she loses her home, her language, and her freedom. Field Marshal Sheremetyev claims the prettiest captives for himself. Marta is handed over like a sack of grain. For weeks, she washes blood-stained uniforms, cooks barley soup for drunken officers, and learns that beauty in wartime is both shield and danger. She keeps her head down, her hands busy, and her mouth shut, except when she needs to bargain for an extra piece of bread. Then Prince Menshikov arrives, Peter's wild childhood friend turned war profiteer. He spots her pouring vodka without trembling, laughing at jokes she barely understands. One morning he simply says, "You're coming with me," throws her onto his sled and rides east. Moscow's golden domes rise ahead of her like a fever dream. In Menshikov's palace, she scrubs marble floors again, but now the marble is warm and the food is plentiful. She learns Russian the hard way, from scullery maids who slap her when she mixes up words. She learns faster than they expect. One humid summer night in 1703, the Tsar himself storms into Menshikov's dining hall, coat unbuttoned, face flushed from wine and argument. Peter stands 6'8", shoulders like a bear, hands that can break a horseshoe. Servants scatter. Marta has sent forward with a fresh decanter. She fills his cup, meets his stare, and smiles. Small, fearless, real. Peter asks her name. "Marta," she answers, voice low, the R rolling Baltic soft. He laughs, a sound like cannon fire. "From today you are Katerina." That night, he did not leave. Days turn into weeks. Katerina moves from the servants' wing to the Tsar's private apartments. She still cannot read, still speaks Russian like a child, but she learns Peter's moods faster than any courtier. When the headaches and convulsions seize him, she is the only one who dares hold him down, press cold cloths to his temples, and whisper nonsense until the fit passes. By winter, she is pregnant. The court hisses, a foreign washerwoman carrying the Tsar's bastard. Peter builds her a small wooden house inside the Preobrazhensko palace grounds and visits every evening. He teaches her to sign her new name, Ekaterina. She teaches him how it feels to be loved by someone who wants nothing except him. In 1705, the baby came, a boy with his father's fierce eyes. He lives only 11 months. Peter weeps in her lap like a child. Katerina does not cry in front of him. She buries her son at night, then returns to warm Peter's bed before dawn. From that winter on, something unbreakable settles between them. Old Russia watches in horror as the Tsar parades his low-born mistress at balls, dresses her in French silk, and kisses her openly while ambassadors bow low. Boyars mutter about sin and disgrace. Peter answers by promoting Menshikov higher and loving Katerina louder. By 1707, everyone waits for the inevitable. Peter will marry a princess, lock the Livonian girl away, maybe send her to a convent. Instead, he does something no czar has ever done. He marries her in secret, in a tiny chapel, with only 2 witnesses and a priest sworn to silence. Katerina wears a simple green dress. Peter slips a plain gold ring on her finger and calls her his wife before God. The empire does not know it yet, but the laundry maid has become the most dangerous woman in Russia. And danger is coming, across a frozen river, in the middle of a war that should have ended Peter's reign forever. 1711. Peter, drunk on victory and pride, marches 38,000 men south against the Ottoman Empire. He dreams of seizing the Black Sea. Instead, he walks into a trap. On the banks of the Prut River, 200,000 Turks and Tartars surround the Russians. Food runs out in 3 days. Water is cut off. Men die of thirst under the July sun. Peter locks himself in his tent, shaking with fever and rage, dictating a letter that begins, "I am lost." The generals prepare to surrender everything, even the new city of St. Petersburg. Catherine, 8 months pregnant and riding in the baggage train, refuses to accept defeat. At midnight, she gathers every coin, jewel, and fur cloak the officers still own. She adds her own emerald necklace, the one Peter gave her after their secret wedding. With 2 trusted servants, she slips through the lines to the Turkish Grand Vizier's tent. Gold changes hands. Promises are whispered. By dawn, a deal is struck. Russia pays a heavy bribe and retreats unharmed. Peter staggers out of his tent, sees the Turks pulling back, and falls to his knees in front of Catherine. In full view of the army, he kisses her hands and calls her his savior. The soldiers cheer until their voices crack. From that day forward, every man in the army knows, touch Catherine and you answer to the Tsar. Back in Moscow, Peter does the unthinkable. In 1712, he staged a second wedding, this time public and magnificent. Trumpets blast, cannons roar, and Catherine walks down the aisle of a packed cathedral in cloth of gold, while dukes and princes bow low. She is still officially only Tsarina Catherine, not yet Empress, but the message is clear. This woman is untouchable. And Peter is about to make her even more powerful, because his only legitimate son is about to die, and the throne needs an heir no one expects.
1715 to 1718. The new capital, St. Petersburg, rises from the swamps like a fevered vision. Straight canals, pastel palaces, ships crowding the Neva. Peter walks the streets at dawn, hammer in hand, forcing nobles to lay bricks beside common carpenters. At his side, always, is Catherine, laughing, scolding, charming foreign ambassadors who expect a coarse peasant and meet instead a woman who can drink a Dutch sea captain under the table and then quote the Bible in 4 languages. They have lost so many children already, 8 little graves scattered from Moscow to the Baltic. But 2 daughters survive, Anna, clever and dark-eyed, and little Elizabeth, golden-haired, already flirting with guards at age 6. Peter adores them, yet everyone knows daughters cannot rule Russia. The throne belongs to Tsarevich Alexei, Peter's son from his first hated marriage. Alexei is 27 now, thin, pious, terrified of his father. He hates the new European ways, hates the navy, hates the endless wars. He surrounds himself with priests who preach that Peter is the Antichrist and that the old Moscow must be restored. Peter tries to beat sense into him, literally. Whips, exile, forced marches. Nothing works. Catherine watches it all with growing dread. She has seen Peter weep over dead babies. She has never seen him weep over Alexei. The boy is a threat walking on two legs. In 1716, Peter drags Alexei to Europe, hunting him across half the continent when he flees. Catherine stays in St. Petersburg, governing in Peter's name, signing decrees, calming angry merchants, sending ship after ship to the Baltic fleet. Letters fly between husband and wife, tender, filthy, desperate. Peter writes, "I kissed you 1,000 times, my dearest Katenka, and the place where our little girls came from." Catherine answers with news of victories and money raised, then adds, "Come home before I die of missing you." Alexei is finally caught in Naples, dragged back in chains. The trial is a nightmare. Under torture, Alexei's friends confess a plot. When Peter dies, kill Catherine and the German whores, burn St. Petersburg, move the capital back to Moscow, make peace with Sweden. Alexei himself signs every confession. On 26 June 1718, in the Peter and Paul fortress, Alexei was sentenced to death. Peter visits him one last time. No one knows what was said behind the iron door. Hours later, Tsarevich is found dead in his cell, officially from an apoplectic stroke brought on by the sentence. Few believe it. That night, Peter does not come to Catherine's bed. She finds him at dawn on the palace roof, staring east toward Moscow, tears frozen on his cheeks. She wraps a cloak around his shoulders and says nothing. There is nothing to say. A father has killed his only son. 3 days later, Peter issues a decree that shocks Europe. From this day forward, the reigning sovereign of Russia may name any successor he chooses, man or woman, noble or commoner. Blood no longer matters. The throne is his to give. Everyone understands. He means Catherine. The old nobility howled in private. Foreign ambassadors write frantic dispatches. The empire will fall to a Lithuanian washerwoman. Peter answers by creating a new order of chivalry, the Order of St. Catherine, and hangs the first star around his wife's neck in a ceremony so lavish it bankrupts the treasury for a year. But even Peter cannot live forever, and the day no one wants to imagine is racing toward them. In the winter of 1724-25, the Tsar, who built an empire with his bare hands, began to cough blood into silk handkerchiefs he quickly hides from everyone, except for the one woman who already knows every secret of his body.